to walk into this central gallery with only one sculpture in by Sarah Lucas is in itself quite a statement. It's a provocative sculpture in the sense that it has this enormous phallus rearing up behind me. It has a sense of humour. It references the work of artists who've shown here in the British Pavilion before. She's very aware that Henry Moore showed here in 1948, and again he was shown with one sculpture on the portico of the British Pavilion in 1952. And Lucas is very aware of the pedigree and the line she's following in. Lucas has always dealt with issues around gender and sexuality. There's a seriousness, but it's often undercut with a wry humour and a kind of street vernacular. In addition to the large sculpture behind me, she's created a series of 10 sculptures which are casts of women's bodies. They're friends, they're actually casts of 2 are of herself and the other 8 are of friends of hers, all women. And so she decided she would create, in response to the rather classical building, a series of sculptures which in some way reflected a kind of classicism. And in a sense the whole show has a sense, she refers to it as a bit like being like a dessert. The white of the plaster of the bodies are like the meringues, and the yellow of the walls are rather like the custard. So it has this sort of theme of food in her mind. The bodies themselves are topless. They're only the legs. And in a very classic Sarah Lucas style, she's always used cigarettes in her works. She's a smoker. Cigarettes have appeared in photographs, in other sculptures, and here they do actually appear placed in the orifices of the women's bodies. In her mind, that is a piece of titillation, if you like. It's a reminder, this is Sarah Lucas, a very contemporary artist. These are not just standard classical poses, but they give them a kind of life rather than just being static objects. In one of the side galleries of the exhibition, she's created what in a sense is a grid made up of 55 small paintings. They're the size of an old-fashioned long-playing record cover. And she's used collage elements from tabloid newspapers. One in particular that's very famous, it doesn't really address the news, it's mostly about titillation, and it's usually young women with no clothes on. And when you stand back and look at it, it looks rather beautiful, like an abstracted painting. Rather a sort of homage to her close friend Damien Hirst, who famously made spot paintings at the beginning of his career and has done up until the present day. In a sense, there's a kind of tongue-in-cheek play on them, because the plaster sculptures that she's made could be called topless sculptures because it's only the bottom half of the female form, and the images in the newspapers in the UK, they would be called topless images because they're the top half of women mostly showing naked breasts with no clothes on. So it's a kind of play on the toplessness that's reflected also in the sculpture.